Well, hello there. Welcome to this latest TRL webinar this month, giving you some insights into the management of the road assets on England's strategic road network. Now, England's SRN is 4,500 miles, that's 7,250 kilometres in length, and worth more than £80 billion. Early last year, TRL Software successfully rolled out a new digital pavement asset management system for national highways called P-AMS. The new P-AMS system is a configured version for national highways of TRL Software's cloud-based digital transport asset management product, iROADS, which is a commercially available off-the-shelf platform designed for various infrastructure assets. Now, today in our conversation, we'll hear from Sarah Churchman, Principal Advisor, Asset Management Systems at National Highways, who will provide an insight into how collaboration was key to the smooth rollout of P-AMS and how the software has revolutionized the management of the SRN with quicker and simpler access to insights about the road network, improving day-to-day decision-making. We'll also hear from iROADS product owner at TRL, John Proust. But first, let's welcome TRL Software's Head of Project Management and Partnerships, Subu Kamal. Because Subu, welcome to our conversation. If you could first talk to us about what sits behind the product, please.
So before we get into what exactly is iROADS and what does this, we'll look at why our customers or why people use iROADS. So essentially, iROADS helps you to answer three simple questions. So basically, starting with what and where are my assets? That's the basic and the fundamental question. How are my assets performing? And the last one is how do I optimize the outcomes for my assets based on the resources and the capacity that I have. So in essence, it helps you answer these three simple questions. That's why customers use iROADS. But even the questions look simple, there is quite a lot of sophistications and nuance behind all this. So if you look at the first question, what and where are my assets? It sounds simple and basic, but depending upon where you are in your asset management journey, that itself can become complex and sort of mismanaged, if not proper, if you don't have a proper system processes in place. So essentially, iROADS helps you to answer these three questions: what and where are my assets? How are they performing? And how do I optimize the performance of my assets based on the resources and the capacity that I have? Now, so what does iROADS do? What's behind it? Why do people use iROADS? So this is a busy slide, but we'll give a quick overview of the functional capabilities or the features available within the iROADS and what are the benefits and all. So essentially, iROADS is a decision management tool used for road asset management across strategy and planning, tactical operations, and operational management, including road maintenance management. So if you look at this slide, there are three functional areas: enterprise asset management and RRMS, for asset performance management, and asset investment planning. Under there are several features and capabilities. All of this is not here, but select ones are here just to give you a quick glimpse. Some of the features John will be showing in the demonstration as we go ahead, and Sarah will be explaining how some of this is being used in national highways in our project explanation, which is coming up. So in this area, you're seeing the different features which is available. And essentially what, as I said, there are three decision types: operational decision, tactical decisions, and strategic decisions, all in one single platform. That's the key difference. It is not a maintenance management or an investment planning solution, all different solutions. But no, the key differentiation here is one single platform, all data in one single plate, and all connected decisions, right from strategy, tactics to operational execution. So that's one of the key USPs of the product from a customer point of view. And what does this help for our customers? So the benefits for having this in one single platform is that it helps you to take quantifiable operational decisions from an operations perspective. It helps in improved efficiency in tactical operations. So tactical operations are operations, plannings, scheme optioning, scheme designs, and all done within typically in a period of 1 year, 1 to 2 years. And for asset investment planning, it helps you to have accurate forecasting and future modeling using network level planning, multi-year analysis, KPI, or whole life costing and all. So up to 60 years. So from network level to scheme level to operations, all in one single platform. That is what is the key value that iROADS offers. And at the bottom, you'll see some of the activities happening under different areas. So operational decisions for maintenance management, inspection, works, planning, schedule, work orders, and all happens in the operational area of the product. Tactical decisions, payment scheme optioning, maintenance programming happens in the performance management, and asset investment planning, investment scenarios planning, multi-year analysis, network KPI also happens in the third asset investment section of the product. So that's the high-level functional overview and what sort of benefits customers get when they're using iROADS. Before I pass on to Sarah, just a quick view on the technology side. We're not going to get into the details, but on the right, you see a high-level overview of the platform. But some of the key capabilities are, first, it is a true cloud-native global multi-tenant SaaS platform. So what it means is that it is not developed for as a project, or it is not developed for TRL has had made a huge investment last 4 years, completely re-engineered the product to be cloud native, which means that the solution is globally available right now, just like your Salesforce or Teams, and meeting all the security and regulatory requirements in different parts of the world. The other fact is that it is seamlessly connected. So the whole solution is not a closed solution, which is what traditional systems are. This is a modern open platform which plays well with any other systems, data, solutions, and APIs very well in a secure and connected way. The other key benefit is it is enterprise grade solution, secure and accessible service. So the data security is often this solution is used for managing nationally critical assets. So the level of information security and data security is absolutely at a different level, and that is managed well within the platform. And behind this is agile DevOps process and continuous delivery. A team of the project that what Sarah will explain is a team of around 140 plus software developers were involved in delivering the whole thing, plus a team from TRL, the asset management specialists and all, including pavement engineers and economists and all, to develop the whole solution. So that's just a quick overview of the technology aspect. Now I will pass on to Sarah to just explain how this was delivered and how National Highways is realizing the value.
Thank you very much, Subu. So let's welcome, as Subu said, Sarah Churchman, Principal Advisor Asset Management Systems at National Highways, who led the project from National Highways' perspective. Sarah, over to you.
Before we go into the project, I'd just like to provide a little bit of understanding and background about myself and why this project was so important. So prior to me joining National Highways, I was in a private organisation for over 17 years. During that time, I worked my way through the project management hierarchy, learning lessons and being able to grow and develop my knowledge. After 17 years, I wanted a new challenge. I was aware of the opportunities of growth within National Highways, and I was successful in securing a role around about 6 years ago. I started the company as a project manager, and I was managing our decision support tools and our company's national survey capture. After 3 years, I was given the opportunity to manage the company's critical pavement management replacement system, which is the project I'll be referring to today. Although the company trusted my ability at the time and my skills, this was my very first big critical asset management system project. And I knew, and I still know now, there was a lot to learn. I set myself a personal goal that I wanted the project to be great and memorable for all involved, not just a project similar to I delivered previously. I took a few days to really think about what makes this project different from other projects. If I can ask one thing from this session today, is please ask yourself the same question I did. Not how to deliver a good project with time and budget, not what project methodology, Prince, Agile, but what really is important to get the project over the line with a great outcome. So as I mentioned, the project we'll be referring to today is called Pavement Management Project, or P-AMS, as Paul has referred to. So I'll take you through a few slides to provide a bit of background around the collaboration and how we made this a smooth project. First of all, the situation. So effective asset management is at the heart of everything National Highways does. Asset data enables National Highways to make informed decisions about the way the network is operated and maintained to ensure our customers are safe. Unfortunately, one of our critical asset management systems, the pavement management system, was reaching end of life. Our pavement management system holds our critical pavement data and provided the function to maintain and operate the pavement within our strategic network, resulting in an urgency to replace the existing product to prevent potential loss of data, and also the impact on renewal and maintenance planning, including key reporting to our official regulator. Once the project had been scoped out and agreed, we quickly moved into our procurement strategy. A number of different procurement options were considered. An open tender was the project's preferred option, which provided National Highways with the ability to access a majority of the key providers for asset systems. To ensure a fair and competitive tender took place, we identified key stakeholders from within the business, cross-directorate, to support the tender process. These were the critical areas, including security, end users, architecture, and also service and support. This ensured that when we submitted our results for the tender process, it was fair and competitive. TRL were the successful candidates with the iROADS product, as Subu's just discussed, and that as their product provided and met our critical requirements and was future-proofed for evolving and aligning to our digital and technical strategies. Now, we had our product, we'd agreed our scope, we had our funding, and we had our commercials in place. This was now back to the project delivery. What makes a good project? After reviewing and considering lessons learned, methodology, project management styles, strategies, my attention moved to people. To run and manage a project of this scale, the people, governance, and collaboration were a priority to achieve a successful project. To achieve this, we focused on securing a team that gelled together, that were equally passionate, self-motivated, and committed to sharing goals. Myself and the TRL project manager, Dave Mansfield, were invested in creating a one-team mentality that would get us through the ups and downs that we knew were ahead. Therefore, we aimed to create work streams and work stream leads that mirrored each other. This was really important to ensure that what we had on the delivery side, we also married and mirrored with the assurance side. This supported quick resolution through knowledge sharing, common goals, and similar thinking. The requirements on the delivery side and the requirements on the assurance had that previous experience and that previous knowledge that as and when issues or risks arose, they were able to bounce off each other and work through a quick resolution. Once we had the team, we needed to embed and grow the relationships across the teams to ensure we were able to embed that one team ethos. To achieve this, we first created shared values and behaviours. The core values were developed in collaboration with each other and each team member during our very first kick-off session. Now, each company, and I'm sure every company that's on the line, has their own company values and behaviours. We continue to follow these values and behaviours, but also developed a new combined list, as you'll see on the screen, that we use throughout the project lifecycle and still now during business as usual. The team was made up of very highly experienced members, and these values and behaviours were able to encourage independent thinking and problem solving, which really went a long way to meeting project deadlines. We received a regular feedback that due to the one team ethos, we were able to resolve blockers at an extraordinary fast pace. Our business analysts stepped in to support our test leads with strategy planning. Our data expert stepped in to help our business change manager with technical queries, and our change manager, Lloyd Hobson, provided the foundation for a cultural change, ensuring that our SMEs were supported and that the change was not being done to them, but in fact, they were fully immersed in the journey. We achieved the one team mentality by creating the collaborated core values, as you see here, focusing on team fit, not just skills, but mirroring the relationships. And also Dave and I were really keen to ensure that we monitored burnout, showed compassion to the team, and consistently showed appreciation through the life cycle of the project. Finally, one of the key things to ensure that we were able to have that one team ethos was to encourage the team to keep their personalities, to get each other, to ensure that each other had those same values and behaviours and be able to deliver the project, not just in a functional role, but also as a person. The project did not come without several challenges, from feasibility to design, but by having a strong, well-connected team, we were able to mitigate the risks and issues as they occurred. I would like to share a few challenges and lessons learned that did occur during the project. Now, there are 8 key areas that I will be presenting today and discussing 2 to focus on just because of time. So first of all, I'd like to mention requirements. So very early in the project, we agreed that the project was going to be outcome focused and not solely on requirements. NH were not the product owner. We obviously were the delivery team and the customer. Therefore, by providing an outcome-based requirements capture, the product owner, TRL at the time, were able to provide the solution. The business analyst captured the requirements, use cases, business needs, acceptance criteria, and aligned them to personas. This was then populated into a clear requirements catalogue matrix, which drove the milestones, system specification, testing, and gave overall assurance to the senior responsible owner. Unfortunately, we had not captured all the reporting requirements. Therefore, this created a delay as we needed to embed this during the project. It was a minor delay as we had created such a strong process for managing requirements. We were easily able to slot them into the catalogue and continue to follow the same process. Data migration. As previously mentioned, the legacy system was aging, but was still functioning. It held a huge amount of complex data. The data was critical to achieving a successful rollout. You can have the best system in the world, but if you don't have the data or the data is not migrated correctly, it's unusable for the end users. A data migration platform was built following a proposal from the project's technical and data experts. This was used to support the testing of data, quantity, variety, and structure. Quality acceptance was developed and agreed, which was more than the quantity of the data, but also included things such as completeness. Trial migrations were undergone, which each time helped with lessons learned to reduce the final migration and identify gaps. This was all driven by a migration strategy, which was developed in collaboration with key stakeholders and technical experts. Although there were many challenges, we were able to overcome these challenges and also have a good, successful outcome with benefits. I would say our biggest technical achievement is the increased performance by 45%. This was delivered by the modern technology from iROADS. Self-serve was one of our key success criteria factors, which increased the user base from 40 to over 350 by providing easier accessibility to the information. So to summarise, I believe we achieved everything we set out to achieve and meeting the key outcomes defined during the requirements capture. There are many lessons learned, but there are three which had the biggest impact. One, build enough time to mobilise the team and set the foundation, the collaborative, supportive environment. Two, ensure reporting has its own module with a clear acceptance criteria, with 2 user acceptance phases for functionality and data. And 3, develop the BAU approach from the start of the project, as everyone needs to know what the end goal needs to look like once the project has transitioned. Thank you very much for your time today. I'll pass back to Paul and welcome any questions at the end.
That was fantastic, Sarah. Thank you very much indeed. And Sarah just mentioned questions. If you have a look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the little Q&A section. Looking at my other screen, we've already got some questions coming in, but do feel free to add yours and we will come to them after we've actually seen iROADS in action. Let's welcome product owner at TRL, John Proust. To make all this real, John, can you give us a first-hand view of what all this looks like in a sort of quick demonstration for us, please?
Absolutely, Paul. Yes. So hello, everyone. I am just going to ask Subu to share his screen. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Subu. So could you just pause it, Subu? I'm just going to give a quick introduction just before we get started. So just to explain to folks, we're doing this as a pre-recorded video purely for the purposes of time efficiency, because we are really trying to pack in a lot of content here in a short space of time. Excuse me. The other thing I just want to mention before we get into the demo is you will see obviously a lot of data and a lot of outputs of the system. I just want to underline that this is all dummy data. This is not real data. It's not customer data. It is dummy data. Okay, with that out of the way, Subu, if you would press play for me, please. Thank you. Okay, so here we can see the login screen for iROADS. You log in from any web browser. Here is the main menu. We'll come back to some of this later, but for now, we're going to jump straight into the map view because that is often the central way of interacting with data in iROADS. There are, of course, other ways, but it is hard to beat a map for a lot of use cases. Here you can see our 3D map feature, which is just really nice for getting that extra bit of context for your assets. You can see the surrounding terrain, built-up areas, and that sort of thing. And you can dive into the data behind any asset from the map. So here we can look at this particular road section and check, for example, the condition data held against it. But you can view inspection data, documents, anything held against the asset. It's important to note, so you can manage any asset with iROADS, any road asset. So it's not just a pavement management system. Here are some of the assets which have been used in the past. And here are some streetlights being managed as an example, being color-coded on the map according to their condition index, which in this case is based on inspection data. And if we dive into the details again, one thing to note, the streetlight here is broken up into components like the bracket, cables, etc. And that data model is totally flexible and configurable by customers. Here we can see some inspections which have been recorded against this particular streetlights. The data marketplace is a really exciting new feature we've been working on. The purpose of this is to connect our iROADS customers with third-party data suppliers. So as we all know, there are so many new sources of data these days. We've got things like air quality data, driving event data from vehicle fleets, all sorts of new data sources coming in. The challenge, of course, is to curate those, make sure you've got the right data set from the right suppliers, good quality, it's in the right format. So that those challenges are the ones we're trying to address with the data marketplace. You can see some of the providers we've signed up here, and here is just a quick use case of how some of this data might be used in iROADS. So you can see some harsh braking event data, the red arrows here, harsh braking event data from Michelin in this case, showing us the exact location on the network where a harsh braking event took place. And you could overlay other data like vehicle collisions, skidding resistance data, and build up a picture of potential risk areas. But there are so many other use cases for these data types. Asset data analytics is super important for a system like iROADS. A lot of the data that comes into these systems needs to be transformed or analyzed in some way before it's really practically useful for a lot of use cases. And it is a bit of a pain point, or it can be for a lot of customers. Sometimes they are paying third-party suppliers to do this analysis for them. Sometimes they're having to export the data and waste time, analyze it in other systems. So to combat both of these problems, we built in some flexible data analytics features directly into the system. So that's what you can see here. Very intuitive, easy to use. It just really gives you that efficiency, gives you control over how you analyze and transform your data. Some use cases might include things like highlighting areas of poor condition. So that's what we're seeing on the screen here. You can set up some rule sets which will highlight areas of poor condition for you. You can do things like calculate KPIs. So National Highways, for example, can calculate their pavement KPI using this functionality. Once you've produced your analysis results, you can use it throughout the system, in reports, on the map, and also in dashboards such as this one here, which is showing a KPI which has been calculated in iROADS. iROADS has a mobile app. The app is really what helps iROADS be an operational day-to-day system, as well as strategic and tactical. So the app is used for field-based activities, and by that I mean things like inspections, visual surveys, works and maintenance updates. This year we also are looking to bring in the capability to do video surveys using the app. So any device with the app installed, as long as it's got a camera, of course, would be able to pick up video imagery that would be automatically georeferenced and seamlessly integrated into iROADS. The app's available for both Android and iOS devices on the respective app stores for each of those platforms. Whole-life cost analysis is a huge feature set. Frankly, it's tough to cover it in the short amount of time we have today, but we didn't want to leave it out because it is a great feature. It provides so much value for customers. Perhaps we will do a dedicated webinar on this another time. But just to give you some context, so the purpose of this feature set is to guide maintenance budget allocation towards the greatest value for money, or in other words, it's just to get the best bang for your buck. It does this by scheme optioneering, so it supports identification of the optimum maintenance scheme for any given location on the network. It runs a very sophisticated model, which takes into account lots of variables, some of which you can see on the screen here, things like traffic data, condition deterioration, road user delay, and it produces some metrics which enable us to take decisions about what's the best way to spend our maintenance budget. The way it works in the system, you can see here on the screen. So we start by identifying the actual location for the scheme, and we do that with these map-based tools. The system is intelligent enough to split out things like laybys, slip roads, and roundabouts off from the main carriageway, just to make it as practical as possible to set up this scheme. Once we've done that, the system will bring in all of the relevant data. So again, condition data, traffic data, pavement construction materials, brings that all into this view here, which is effectively a top-down view of the road. And here we can start to design our schemes by layering on treatments. And of course, we'll use the condition data available to help us identify where is the best place to put those treatments. We can even semi-automate that process by setting up some rules, as you can see here, just to make the process as efficient as possible. So the idea is you keep building up your scheme design like this by adding your treatments and modifying treatment thicknesses. You'll build you know, let's say 2, 3, 4 options for a particular site, run the model, and then you'll get the outputs, which will help you determine what is the best scheme to go ahead with. So the outputs include, for example, this cost profile here. This is telling us what is the expected outlay, maintenance outlay for every year of the design life of that asset, given the scheme design that we've just modeled. So of course, you can roll this back up into a whole life cost. You can break it down into the preliminary traffic management costs. And this is a key metric that needs to be used for taking these kinds of decisions. Here's just another example of that, where you can compare the initial works cost of a scheme option with its whole life cost. And again, it's just another data point to help us take informed decisions. So to finish, we're going to look at strategic decision analysis in iROADS. So as the name suggests, this is to support strategic decision making. And here we're talking about looking at the whole network level. So this is not individual schemes anymore. This is the whole asset portfolio. So it helps to answer questions such as, you know, what would happen if my maintenance budget was decreased by 10% next year? What would happen if I changed my maintenance policy to focus more on preventive treatments? These kind of strategic questions, you can model those scenarios. The system will then produce these kinds of outputs, which again, it always goes back to giving you the data, the inputs to make informed decisions. Right. So just very briefly, you know, we've all heard a lot about AI in the last, 6, 7, 8 months, and how it's going to revolutionize everything. Now, of course, there's a lot of hype in there, but there is some real value to be had, and we don't want to be left behind on that. We don't want our customers to be left behind on that. So as you'd expect, we are exploring this space and seeing how we can bring AI into iROADS in order to produce more value for our customers and improve the product. Now, there are several avenues that we're looking at here. I can't disclose all of them today, but what I did want to do is just show you what I'm going to call the tip of the iceberg, really, which is what we're calling our iROADS Copilot. Okay, so this is very similar to ChatGPT. If you've all had a play around with that and are familiar with that system, it's an AI system which allows you to sort of, well, in this case, it allows you to query your asset data with natural language questions. So again, for the purposes of being efficient with time, I'm going to copy and paste in some questions that I prepared earlier. So we'll start with something very simple. So tell us what's the total length of the network in kilometers. And the integration now is going to look into the data and it's going to respond to us in natural language. Now, yeah, so here we go, 16,500 kilometers. Obviously, the nice thing about this is it's just a very quick and natural way of getting information out of the system. But let's make it a little bit more difficult. So we'll ask, what's the total length in the M25? Okay, so we're going to narrow it down a little bit more. So here we go. We've got the answer back, 529 kilometers in the M25. And if we try and ask the chatbot, the Copilot, something which is not based on just numbers, okay, so let's ask it something which is a bit more qualitative. So what road classes are used in this network? So here we go, road classes used, it's returning us that answer. Obviously, the answer is dependent on the actual, the network that you have in the system. So for us at the moment, it's motorways, motorway standard A roads, and primary and secondary A roads. And lastly, just one more question I want to show you here because it gives us a bit of a crossover with something else we're working on. We're looking at some data which is helping us to identify high flood risk areas of the network. So I'm going to ask the Copilot to list the section labels with high flood risk in a particular operational area, area 5 in this case. And this flood risk work we're doing is using some of that data that we saw earlier in the data marketplace. There's very, very good flood data sets out there. So we're trying to make the most of those to identify areas of high flood risk. Okay, so here we go. The Copilot has given us back these sections here. So what you'll be able to do, obviously, is go and take a look at any one of these sections in the system and get a bit more information. Maybe take that into account in your maintenance planning, that sort of thing. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a quick look at that. Now, we understand that this is not revolutionizing anything just yet. You actually can get all of this data in iROADS via other means already without this Copilot. But this is just a very quick, easy to understand, intuitive way of interacting with your data. So we think it's a good start, but there's a lot more to come. Okay, that's all I had, Paul. So I will stop there.
Fabulous. Keep your camera on though, John, because we're moving on to questions now. And if Sarah can join us as well, please, then let's run through some questions. Don't forget, you can put some questions in the bottom of the screen. Just tap on the Q&A, type the questions in. Lots are coming in. Subu's been answering some of them in real time as well. But I want to start with Sarah and just sort of basically ask you, Sarah, that you talked about the team ethos, and this is a big project delivered in a relatively small amount of time. You had loads of legacy data. You had to organize a business change across the organization. This was not an easy thing to do. And I know from working in and working with and writing about for the last 25 years, some of the challenges within the public sector of getting things done on time, on budget, etc., and making sure they're delivered correctly. What were the success factors that made this work as far as you were concerned?
I think, again, it comes back down to that team ethos, as we mentioned, and the whole core values that the team jointly agreed on and how they would be supported across the project life cycle. For me, one of the real big successes was the delivery of the project, of course, but actually when we ended the project and the project team was sat in a room, you could not tell who worked for what company. It was unrecognizable. Maybe you could tell the work streams, and you get those types of meetings and you get one supplier sat one side and the customer sat on the other side of the table, and everybody was so gelled together. And I put that down to myself and Dave, the other project manager, that we really encouraged that own thinking, that flexibility, and actually encouraging people to keep those personalities. I was aware we had a really tight deadline and everybody was on the project. And as I said, one of my key lessons learned going forward was to make sure that we had longer for that mobilisation. We were also on the back of COVID as well, so it wasn't ideal in terms of being able to have those face-to-faces. But again, we all sat down and we worked together to make sure we had a structured plan, made sure that we had contingency built in there for as and when challenges rose. And actually, we had the support of TRL's programme director and our SRO and our exec directors to be able to support any issues that may arise. I think the one final thing that I'd quite like to add as a lessons learned, and it was very much something that we discussed at the start of the project, is that we made a group decision that this was not going to be contract driven. And of course, the TRL has got their agenda, which they want to make good reputation, it needs to be a good product, and National Highways needed to make sure this product was really valuable for our end users and made sure that we were utilising the tools the best we can. But to ensure that we were able to resolve issues quickly, we had the conversation at the very start of the project kickoff, including the directors, and we made that agreement that actually we needed to not manage this via contract. We all know what our milestones are, and the priority was to just get through those challenges as and when they rose. And as I mentioned, we had so much feedback from other people within the business about sharing the lessons to show how effectively we resolved issues. And I think, again, that was down to having that mirrored partner, so they were able to bounce off each other. If there was an issue, we had the two data experts, delivery and assurance. that we're able to map out and resolve issues to be able to move forward.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Sarah. Subu, I just want to check one thing, because obviously we've been concentrating here on national highways, but interoperability across the network is always really important, and being able to sort of compare one place to another and things. Where are we with the devolved nations, so Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, in either using this system or potentially using this system, or interoperability between them? Do we need it?
Yeah, so good question, Paul. Absolutely, do we need it? That is one of the sort of fundamental issues in the whole industry, as we see. There's a huge amount of data that is simply locked up of some local authorities to different devolved organizations across the world. The value of bringing that data together, still keeping it, the privacy concerns and all, managing it well, is absolutely critical for unlocking efficiency, reducing costs and everything as we go ahead. Now, including AI. With iROADS, what it is see, because it's a cloud native multi-tenant single platform. Even in one single solution, multiple organizations can start working together collaboratively, have different data models, have different data sets, but still collaborate and work together. So the devolved nations are not yet customers, but we are actively engaged and talking to them and working. Hopefully we'll be having few customers. So internationally, we have several customers, including this is a big project. National Highways P-AMS is probably the biggest asset management system with this amount of data. Last 30 years of survey, condition data, works, budgets, planning, everything is there. But at the same time, because of the scalability of the solution and how it is designed, it is also used by countries in Africa. The smallest customer is only 2%. Who managing a place in South Africa called OR Tambo, with large network for rural roads. So it's the same solution, but used at a different scale in a simpler level. So that's the flexibility it offers.
That's what I wanted to ask you, John, actually, is about the fact that often when I'm looking at solutions, we're looking in one area and then how we can then grow that and the scalability upwards. I guess here we've looked at national highways. Scalability for somebody watching this who may run a network in a unitary authority. Is it necessary, and does it tick all the boxes that they need for managing a much smaller, more compact network?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's literally no reason at all that iROADS can't be used for a small network. We've really designed that into the system. It's a very broad system. It's very highly configurable, and we've very consciously designed it that way. As you know, TRL has contacts and works all around the world as well. So it's not just about the size of the network. It's also about the resources which are available to customers. So again, there are customers who, like National Highways, who are very advanced and have lots of resources available. There are lots of customers around the world who just don't have that situation. And we want the product to be able to help them as well. So yeah, absolutely. We design that completely into the system. One way we do that is just the sheer amount of data types we can handle. So National Highways has got all these survey vehicles, very sophisticated data coming in. That data sits alongside simpler dash cam surveys, for example. Both of those data sets are completely at home in iROADS.
Okay, right. We're going to be really quick now. I'm going to suggest also to our panelists that if we don't get through all the questions on the Q&A here, maybe you could answer some of them on your LinkedIn page so that people can continue the interaction there. But I know we're about to overrun, but let's just very quickly pick up a few questions that have come in. Jonathan Lynch says, iROADS mentions climate resilience. Can you give an example of the type of data contained within the system, please?
Yeah, I can take that one. Yeah, so we have flooding risk data, landslide risk data. We can mix that together with traffic data and population data. So essentially building all these data sets together, you can get an idea of the risk rating of any particular road. Is it susceptible to the risks of climate change? And also, if it is impacted, how much of an impact is it going to have? Is it a main road that's going into a city? In that case, of course, the risk rating goes up. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's it.
Okay, Sarah, Krishna Shrestha asks, have all the HAPMS features been addressed in P-AMS?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by all the features been addressed in P-AMS, but we've now continued to develop and grow the functionality. We've got a remaining contract with TRL for the operational and maintenance for 5 years. And as part of that, we've set up a continuous improvement governance, which is shared between National Highways and TRL, and that's where any new functionality, any issues that arise, defects, will be managed. And it's normal. As we said, it's a system that's been live less than a year. There's going to be the odd defect or also the opportunity for improvement. But the fact that we've set up a collaborative BAU governance and process, we're able to quickly resolve and move forward.
Fantastic. Subu B. Mondal asks, is iROADS available for users for a trial and test?
Yes, please reach out to us directly, and we will be happy to provide trial and test. It will require some data to be, because it is it's a web-based solution, and to use it, it will need some data. So we will help you. We'll get your data in and work with you to set that up and go.
And one of you, Subu or John, just quickly, Gerard O'Day asks, can iROADS connect to various proprietary asset management systems like P-AMS or B-AMS and feed data in real time?
I will take that, Paul. Absolutely. iROADS is, as I said, it is designed for seamless interconnection and integrations. If, for example, if you look at the case of P-AMS where iROADS is deployed, we are talking to 15 different systems, including various other asset management systems and decision support tools, doing certain bits which is already in place. So absolutely, there are inbuilt connectors in the product, so it just will connect to SAP, Teams, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Zendesk. So all the popular tools that you use daily for a typical job is also integrated into iROADS.
Everyone, the problem we always have is that we could probably do 2 hours on this and still not scratch the surface properly, but we've had hundreds of people taking part watching this webinar today who are all busy people, so taking up 45-50 minutes of their time is as good as we can manage. But don't forget, you can ask TRL or indeed National Highways for more details about this and continue the conversation after this webinar. But we're out of time now, so all that leaves me to do is to thank iROADS product owner at TRL, John Proust, and the TRL Software Head of Product Management and Partnerships, Subu Kamal, and of course, Sarah Churchman, Principal Advisor of Asset Management Systems at National Highways. Thank you for this whistle-stop tour around iROADS and the P-AMS system, and thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back with another webinar from TRL next month. All the best and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks all.